Hi, this is Scott Ware with Radiance Magazine and the Radiance channel on the Xpnsion network. And I have with me Joe Nunziata here at the Mindfulness Expo in Anaheim. Joe, welcome.
Great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you again. We know each other pretty well.
Right. Long time.
You are a best-selling author and a life and business coach.
Correct.
When people come to you and they go to the website joenunz.com, what are they looking for? Is it salesmen? Is it executives? Is it people that want to make a difference in the world?
You know, it's a little bit of everything. I work with a lot of businesses and corporations, so I do executive coaching. I also do go into companies and work with their people as far as could be sales. As you know, I have a sales background.
Yep.
I have a book called Spiritual Selling and a new book coming out called Heal the Deal, which is the updated version of that, and really showing people how to sell using these energy principles and come from a different place, the non-techniques and kind of hardcore selling that I learned in New York. So this is kind of a different thing. And
Sure.
I do also get people coming to me for just working on themselves, working on their own energy, how they feel. I do work with the chakra system and clearing their karma, so helping them just kind of get themselves on the right track.
I'm interested when you say you go into a company, someone brings you in because there's something not working or something dysfunctional, severely so, in a company. What's going on in a company? What do you do when you go in there?
You know, that's a great question. So what happens is in a company, obviously it always comes from the top down.
Okay.
So I always look at the owner first. If it's a large corporation, it would be the head of that division, let's say, whoever's running that part. But for whatever it is, I'll look at the top, and my question would be like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? What are you experiencing here in the company? Where are their problems? And they'll kind of give me what's interesting is they'll give me what they think.
Right.
So their answers are usually going to be very, what I call third dimensional.
Sure.
Well, you know, the sales are not up, the market is tough, the competition has done this, the pricing, blah, 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 you know, all that type of stuff.
Right.
And my goal is to say, well, I want you to look at how the people feel. What is the energy? Are you retaining your people? Are people leaving? Are people happy? So these are a lot of things that corporations don't really look at. I think they look at more of the bottom line. Here's what we do. Here's how much money we're making.
And if you can solve those things, that will unlock the problems up here that they're having.
Right. So they're looking at it and they're frustrated because they're saying, I'm trying to do all the third dimensional stuff. What do
you mean by third dimensional stuff?
So in other words, if their sales are off, they think, well, we're not, maybe the marketing, maybe we're not making enough phone calls, maybe our salespeople aren't doing a good job, or the price is wrong, whatever they perceive to be wrong, which is in the physical world, right? And then I would say, well, maybe that's possible, that's part of it, but the bottom line is, as you and I know, energetically, if their energy is not in alignment with what it is that they're doing, then that will create problems. So this is what I see all the time, like and especially with businesses that have been around for a while and kind of hit an industry on the uptick.
Right.
So they kind of, like, we started at a certain time, we hit this industry when it was growing, we took off, we got to a certain point, and all of a sudden things are starting to crater because you just kind of rode a wave. Almost like they got lucky to a degree.
Sure, they didn't establish the fundamentals.
Right, they didn't do the fundamentals of process, also hiring correctly, also retaining the right people, also creating a culture that can grow and be cultivated in a way that people want to work there.
Right.
Because one of the biggest things that I see is bad retention. And the turnover is killer for companies.
Well, it's true now that people want to have meaning in their job. They want to have meaning with their work. They don't want to just be a number or a cog in the machine, so they have to care. So even though the higher-ups tend to look at the number sheets and see that that isn't working, that's one hat they wear, but they have to put on their other hat of feelings or something other than the 3D, the third dimensional experience. What would you call that? A different dimension?
Well, it's just that, you know, I think what happened was coming out of the baby boomers like us, right? Our parents kind of just had a job, wanted to get a house, wanted to pay bills, and they weren't thinking about fulfillment. I would say it was not what that generation was doing. They were just working to create a better life, right? But, I'm going to be the first one to buy a house, and I know my parents bought a house, and they were like the first generation to buy a house. So now we're in a different place, and people are saying, well, I don't want to just work, burn myself out, which we've seen a lot, right? We've seen people work hard, burn themselves out, even people who've made a lot of money, and I've worked with a lot of them. I had a Wall Street client, because being from New York, who was a young guy, he's about 37 years old, making $4 or $5 million a year. He had tried to kill himself 3 times.
Yeah.
So you're like, like, well, here's a guy, you would see this guy and say, wow, this young guy, he's making millions of dollars, he's got the world at his feet, and he's trying to kill himself. Why? Unfulfilled, not feeling like and he was broken. He had a lot of issues.
But from yourself with personal experience,
Sure.
you left the kind of grind where you were making a lot more money, so you could be happy, more fulfilled, helping people do the same thing. So if there's people out there who are stressed and whatnot, their pain, you've been there, and you can help them transition into a life that's more fulfilling.
Yeah, and it's about also understanding. I think one of the issues we have is because these are old tapes, right? We've got a lot of old belief systems.
In fact, tapes are old themselves.
Right, tapes are old. Right? You and I remember tapes.
So MP3s now, yeah.
Right, MP3 CD. I can't even say CDs anymore. Now that's old. But the old belief system of you can't have your cake and eat it too, and you can't work is work. We came out of a generation which has been passed forward, compartmentalizing. Right, work is over here, fun is over here.
That's right.
And never the twain shall meet.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of saying, well, I want to do something that feels good, but I also want to prosper. So there's a part where I see the block, because the people
they don't believe they can do both.
Right. They say, well, I love doing this, but I can't make any money.
Right.
So the belief system of, I'm going to prosper and do what I love, they need to get there.
Because I was told you can't have fun and make a living. You can't make a living at what you like.
Correct.
That's deeply ingrained in a lot of people.
I think it's
and you help them get rid of that.
Yeah, and it's also understanding that they don't even realize that that's there.
Right.
They're just saying, I just can't seem to get going. What's wrong? So the key is really understanding what's behind it. Not just, I went bankrupt twice by 30, which I talk about this. I'm transparent. I talk about this in all my books. And the reason was that I didn't work hard. The reason I wasn't smart. The reason wasn't that I didn't know what I was doing. I had a block to receiving. I needed to uncover my block to receiving in order to elevate myself.
How can people tell if they have a block to receiving? I think I'm just going to guess. Just asking yourself the question: do I feel like I can receive anything? And if it feels a little, then I think there's a block, a little bit.
Well, what I always ask people is, how do you receive a compliment? That's a great one to start with.
Okay.
Someone says, wow, you look great today. Wow. So I have a good friend in New York. I know him since I'm a kid. And I'll never forget, we were going out to dinner one night, and he came in, and I said, hey, that's a nice shirt. And the first thing, his shoulders went down, and he said, it's old. And he put his head down.
Right.
So totally did not receive that compliment, right?
Right.
Now you may seem like no big deal, but it's a huge deal.
It's indicative of other things in his life.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the idea that I can't receive is, and you have to remember, we grew up with better to give than to receive.
Yes.
Right. So that's also ingrained in us. Like, I'm supposed to be giving and giving.
But giving because you sort of have to. You have a responsibility, not like it's coming directly from your heart, which is a better way.
Right. Giving because you're supposed to be giving.
Right.
Not giving because you want to. Giving because that makes you good.
Right.
Right. It makes me good to be giving.
Yes.
And it makes me bad to be taking.
I'm going to please my tribe. I'm going to get to heaven, maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to be good.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for people. I always say, whatever you learned growing up that made you good is probably blocking you from moving forward.
Yes, I agree.
Because you believe I have to be good, I have to do for everybody else and take care of everybody else and put my needs aside. That makes me good.
Yep.
And therefore, I'm sacrificing myself to be what I perceive to be good. And I can't receive for myself. So very common.
If only you gave like a weekly webinar or something, because I could tell you can go on about this. Do you give a weekly webinar?
I do a monthly webinar.
A monthly?
Yes,
only monthly.
I do a monthly webinar.
All right.
Actually, it's at spiritualsaturdays.com. It's the first Saturday of every month.
Oh, okay.
And we do it live, and it's also recorded, so if people miss it, they can catch it that way. And then I have a lot of other products. I have my YouTube channel where I post videos every week. It's called ashotofjoe.com.
Ashotofjoe.com.
Sure.
Nice.
So that came from one of my attendees in New York, who came to one of my events, and she goes, I came for my shot of Joe. So the minute she said it, I said, I need to go home. I ran home that night and bought the URL.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but it will be you. So anyway, that was my show.
So they can find you at ashotofjoe.com and at Joe Nunz, Nunz.com
is my main site. You can see events, you can get freebies, you can get all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Joe, thanks for stopping in and talk to us.
Thank you so much. Always great to see you, Scott.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good job. Really